Fight the planet!
I'm back, baby. What's up? Happy Sunday, my hackers. Oh, hang on, I gotta do something real fast. This time I remembered the green screen before I turned the camera on. Told you, one day I'll be a professional. Someday I'll be a big boy. Alright, there we go. Jeez. So the AV on my system has just absolutely lost its gourd a little bit because I had a copy of Rubeus on a cloud share. And so my antivirus has been detecting it, and it's been detecting the deleted backup of it, right? Oh god, it's been such a pain. So every hour, I don't know if you've noticed, but behind me down here, every hour, an alert will pop up that's actually on my computer telling me we found something that's horrible. I'm like, shut the hell up, I put it there. All right, everyone. Also, happy Father's Day to everyone out there. Thank you all for the happy Father's Day wishes. It was a good day. Got to spend it with family. My brother lives a pretty good distance away, so I got to go see him and his kiddos, and they got to play with my kiddos, and they all love each other. And we're just running in the sprinkler in the backyard because it's really hot in Texas, and having a wonderful time. And it's actually really funny because my wife was trying to get our youngest, who I knew was just tired out of his mind, but he was just running around in manic mode, the APT. And he loves my brother, his uncle. And so finally he gets him to kind of like chill out for a second and sit still for about 0.5 seconds. And then he was out like a light, just down. And so they'll do that. Kids, if you don't have kids of your own, here's what they'll do. When they're little and their brain starts getting exhausted and they need a nap to go recharge, right? They'll go into this manic mode where it's just they run at like 1,000 miles an hour because they know if they stop or if they blink slightly too long, they'll be out. Bam. It's like they're fighting. They're trying to outrun sleep. It's kind of hilarious. So that's what happened today. But as soon as he got him to sit still, bam, done. Something else I got to figure out. I don't know exactly what we're going to do tomorrow night. Because I just, I realized this. I had 10 hours of lab time. I accidentally left the lab on. That ate like 2 hours, 3 hours, something like that. So we have enough lab time to like go through tonight. And then I don't know what the hell we're going to do on Monday. Because there is a small bug in the lab system where I'm currently enrolled in an extension, right? I bought additional lab time. And so if I come and I look at my events here, this doesn't expire until July 4th, right? So not for another 2+ weeks. So I can't buy another extension until this one expires. So we're going to have to, we might have to get creative on what we're going to work on Monday night. I've got to email into the support, and I'll probably hear back from them hopefully tomorrow, and I can go throw some more cash at them. But Monday night might be a little off the cuff. Let's see. Actually, we might spend some time doing that, Euler's, like just going through and looking at different malleable C2 profiles. So I'm gonna have to figure out what to do. I might actually have to go. I hadn't wiped my home server yet. I might have to go wipe it to start from scratch, and then because we're gonna do hack the box, I got to get a virtual machine up and running. So, Euler, we might have to do that. I haven't quite decided just yet. So we'll let this come up and start running. Let's get Workstation 2 connected. Normally, that's why I haven't had the lab started like last night and tonight before we hopped in, because I needed it to chill out. And right now it's still loading in. I needed to conserve what little bit of time I had left. All right, so we got to give these just a second to boot up here, and we'll dive in. So what we were going over last night Tell you what, let me grab something real quick. Actually, let me look for something real quick. Aggressor scripts. Code highlight, GitHub. I want to look at something real quick. These are all aggressor scripts here. So you can change the language that it gets queried as. This is awesome. PowerShell command. Long ass one-liner. That is a long ass one-liner. Look at that. That's a long command. I was trying to see if this guy had any. These have. Well, this is actually updated last year. Oh, here we go. List of EDR filters. Interesting.
Bullshit, I can't hear you. Sound off like you got a pair.
Stealth, you can't hear me. Dirty liar. I think we might have 2 new people on InfoSec streamers. Oh, nice. I found one a few weeks ago. And I found one more in Brazil. He's doing malware dev. Badass. I thought about trying to do some malware dev in on stream. I just didn't know how I was going to do it.
I'm back, baby.
Hey, Shadow. What's up, bro? Told them both about it and added themselves to the list on GitHub. Nice. Dude, let's go check it real quick. GitHub. Let's see. Actually, there was a... Let's see. So there was an update 15 minutes ago. Let's see. Who made that update? Oh, I think this might have just been a minor addition. That's interesting. Hold on. I gotta see what that looks like now. Oh, it still looks the same. Okay. Let me see. Let's check our pull request here. This guy just did one like 13 minutes ago. Okay. Very cool. Awesome. I'm glad to see more people coming into InfoSec streams because, like I said, GoPro and I both want to see this thing have like 24-hour coverage. Like, you could come in here and have a very high chance of always finding somebody online. Because there's just so many smart people, right? It makes no sense to like not have them, unless they didn't want to. I mean, obviously. But having them be on here and stream and share their knowledge is super invaluable. Damn, I sent you the assignment to recruit more folks, and Agent 57 is coming in clutch. Cool. So we did some fun stuff last night with the S4U abuse. So that was kind of cute. Oop. Let me change something here. Get rid of all of you. Remove. And let's get this one cracking for us. Sleep 0. And then we want to connect to our elevated backdoor. And boom goes dynamite. Challenge accepted and in progress. Nice. Heck yeah, man. I'm hoping there was one guy who was a Australian streamer, and I think he moved to the UK, so I don't know if so unfortunately I'd like to get more folks from Australia in here because they could cover a crucial time gap. Let's see. Yep, that was the last thing we did was the S4U, which actually just scaffolding this out like we just did. Was really cool. Oh, so I just found out. I didn't know this. This is actually my second cousin. She just started college, apparently at MIT, and I had no idea. This was a rather distant family member that was coming through town, and ow, Panda, stop it! I don't know what I did. Something like I scratched the shit out of my ankle, and she just keeps wanting to rub up against that sore spot. Dude, no, that's fantastic, man. If you want like help on that, let me know because I have dug through and I spent a couple months actually kind of just setting up my OBS to get it functional and get it working. And so I learned a bunch of the ins and outs and ways to help organize stuff to make it more efficient. So if you want some help with that, hit me up on Discord. That'd be the easiest way to get a hold of me. All right, cool. So let's go. I think what we want to do is let's go get our session back on sequel 2. Nice. You know what? Actually, I'm going to do that right now. So nod. And does it let me follow from here? Oh, following. I started following you on June 12th. Nice. Okay. So let's do a thing here. Let's go we're going to do this the easy way. We're going to go steal J. King's token, and then we'll use that to jump over to the SQL server. Oh, that's not what we do. Steal. 4604. There we go. And then now, let's switch our view here. Let's go ahead and jump over to SQL 2. And we'll do it with our good old invoke decom over to SQL 2. I forgot to tell which one we're going to do. Well, we opened the firewall, so we should be able to do 31337. Let's try it. And like I said, the reason I'm doing the TCP ones, yes, nice. I'm doing it that way because I want to be able to, if I have to do some trickery around SMB, I didn't want the SMB beacons getting squashed. So let's see here. Maybe the reason I won't stream is I don't want to put my face on camera. Just not good with it, and I already have bad anxiety too. Dude, Agent, have you seen all the folks over in software and game dev that do they call them I forget what to call V streamers, VTubers, I think is the term. Basically like virtual streamers. They have like an avatar that is projected and it kind of does some kind of like face tracking with it and can emote with it. It gets kind of intense for the setup. I looked at it briefly, but that might be another option. Or heck, some guys just are just faceless voice of wisdom on the screen. Yeah, like let me show you an example. So if I go over to Twitch, they're all over software and game dev. Makes sense. A lot of software folks are very introverted, right? They don't necessarily want their face on stream. Like, here's a perfect example right here. See? This person's impersonating being fried fish or fried chicken. It's perfect. Yeah, exactly. GoPro doesn't put his face on camera. And see, this person is cosplaying on screen as being a car. And they're doing a really good job. The graphics on these Unreal Engine 5 games is nuts. There you go. This is what I was talking about, though. See, she's got this virtual avatar here. And it's got, like, a tail and horns and stuff. Yeah, exactly, SM. So that's one of the reasons why you can get away with that, is because a lot of people are not so interactively watching it. Sometimes you do, like you're just chilling out. Other times, I know for a fact, folks are kind of watching and listening to the stream while they're doing other stuff. But this is one example of it right here. This person has this kind of virtual avatar that just kind of does like face and eye tracking, and it overlays that, and it kind of mimics their movements a bit. It's very popular in Japan. I think that's where a lot of the software kind of originates. right, let's do something here. Let's elevate with a service executable. We'll do this on TCP 31338. I'm kind of using 31337 for jumping and 31338 for privilege escalation. So there we go. So think about this. This is so damn cool. So over here is basically where our system is located, where this command prompt is located. And then it goes to the team server. Finally, it goes to bfarmer over HTTP. And then it passes this all on TCP. Just bam, 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 bam. It's so cool. Yeah, there's always a solution for it. Like if you really want to stream, you can always go the route of just be the voice on there. One of the challenges you'll have a little bit in not having a face associated to it is people are gonna kind of want a little bit of feedback. So you just got to be comfortable learning how to talk, especially when you first start and you're only talking to like 0. I literally started streaming. I didn't really tell anybody about it. I wasn't really pushing it. And so I was streaming to 1, and that was me because I had another computer watching the stream so I could monitor it. I just wanted to make sure everything was still up and running. So just get used to talking to the camera. The camera is your rubber ducky, right? You're trying to work through stuff. You're explaining it to the camera. You're trying to figure something out. You're explaining that to the cameras and then asking your questions and working back and forth with it. And then you get some, and then like once people start noticing, they start following in. They'll start throwing, hey, by the way, you did this, dummy, or you typoed this. So it's been a really fun experience for me. I do have to make sure and take like some time off occasionally. Like I try not to force myself. I take that back. I do try to force myself to stream sometimes. There's sometimes when I'm like, man, I just really don't want to hop online tonight. I was like, no, I have a schedule I'm working very hard to keep consistent at. And there's other nights where I'm like, no, you really need to take a night off because you're exhausted. And so I have to keep a close eye on that personally. I do keep a kind of crazy schedule. All right, so we've got our shell over on SQL 2. Let me check something here. Let's do a rubeus monitor with an interval of 10. Actually, let me check something here real quick. So, because what we did last time here is we used this ticket that we got for SQL 2, and we went and were able to impersonate Nina Lamb and get a TGS, so a service ticket for Nina to be able to access not only CIFS, which this machine has the ability to, but also LDAP. Remember, we could assign an alternate service name. Do I have many trolls in my experience? Of various types. No, I had one that came in and like tried to dominate the chat and even told me to be quiet. And I'm like, how about you be quiet permanently? Just bam, ban him. So I try to go in with, I troll a lot. It's just in my nature. But I try to do like gentle trolling, like stuff that's, very obvious and not malicious, as I call it. Trolling with a Nerf bat, just... There we go. Forgot I had to do something real quick. I created a batch file once. Bats, dude. Next step, make it into a PowerShell file. And actually, I think that kind of diffuses a lot of the trolls that I get in chat because they'll try to say stuff that's like outlandish. By the way, Blaze, what's up, dude? Another Blaze, hell yeah. And I'll just come back with, hey, cool, here's what you can do to get better. And I'll just hit him with that and like just, beat him with the Nerf bat of kindness. Beat him with the Nerf bat of trolling. I'm very Nerf-like, just pop. Nerf trolling, nerd trolling. Yeah, exactly. You know me. You know me. Nerd! You beat me to it, Agent. I was just about to do that. Yeah, I do that. If you see me on the 0 Point Security Discord, I'm always trolling folks in there, messing with them. And so it's funny though because I do this thing where like I kind of string it along. and then you're not sure if I'm trolling, and then I'll hit you with something at the end like, oh my god, this whole thing was a setup, right? And my wife hates when I do that too, because I'll tell her something and she thinks I'm like telling her a news story, and it'll be like this big long explanation and build up, and then she realizes the whole thing was a setup for an elaborate pun. I'm trying to think of one that I've done to her recently. I don't remember. It's been a little while since I dropped one of those bombs on her, but oh man, the eye rolls. The eye roll. If looks could kill, she dropped me like a sack of potatoes. Don't know why she puts up with me. Alright, I'm checking something real quick here on what we want to do for... Alright, so that S4U attack that we did, that was working by design. And in fact, let's go diagram this out real fast. Right, so what's happening here when we're doing this was constrained delegation, I believe. Let me double check. Yeah. We haven't gone through role-based constrained delegation, but that's not what I wanted. So for constrained delegation, what we can do is our system SQL 2. This sucker can request a TGS to particular, let's say, to CIFS on DC2. Man, I can't write tonight. There we go. So this particular service. So this is what they mean by constrained. You have a particular service and you have a particular system that you can do this. So what we did is we used SQL 2, and what we did is we requested a TGS as in lam. Hang on one second. Got distracted. I had to put my phone on silent. So we requested a TGS as Nina Lam. And what we did was we actually got two services out of this. We requested the CIFS one, but then we were also able to CIFS, but also we were able to get one to LDAP because we were able to specify an alt service. So we're able to do this. And one thing we found out was if we specify CIFS, we get CIFS. If we specify an alt service of LDAP, we just get the LDAP. So if we want to get both of them, we'd have to get both and pass those tickets into the same process and then steal that process token. So this was our constrained delegation. The unconstrained, we got a full TGT over to the domain controller. So one of the main things here is why would something like this be useful? Let's say like when we did the... Shut up, Stealth. I know it, baby. When we did unconstrained delegation, right, we get actually a TGT from this service that tries to log into the computer, right? This gets us a TGT. And this is actually forwarded. This is forwarded from the user. Are we messing with Samba or Big Daddy AD? We're doing some Big Daddy AB, fried bun. So we're working through the Red Team Ops Lab from 0 Point Security. And we're just kind of tinkering with a few different attack methods. And then we're writing them up here in our handy dandy BlazeBits aggressor script. This is actually up on the BlazeBits GitHub. So if you look under Cobalt Strike tools, it's in here. I'm just going to, every time I find something neat or we build something cool for it, I'm going to drop them over in that repo. Once we start doing the home lab stuff, after I finish the RTO, we'll make like a Mythic Tools repo. And we'll put fun stuff for Mythic C2 in there, because that's one of the things I want to deploy in the home lab. Where did it go? There it is. So when we did the unconstrained delegation, we actually got a TGT, right? Like a phase 1 compromise for DC2. So that might sound really cool, but actually this is for DC2 dollar. And you have to remember, by default, this machine account does not have local administrator to itself. This is a domain account, right? And if we come over to like one of our machines here, check this out. Like, for example, if I come over to just this one over here, workstation 2, and I do, let's run a net local group administrators. Look at this. We see the administrator, the SCCM client, developers, domain admins, support engineers, the Laps admin. Those are the only local admins on this box by default. So these machine accounts here, where is it? I've lost what I was doing. There we go. So these machine accounts, they're workstation, they're always workstation $ at the end. They don't have local domain administration to themselves. But there is a way we can do this by abusing the S4U attack method. So let me take a look at this real quick, 'cause I've still been trying to fully wrap my head around this. And I feel like we did a pretty good job the last couple nights, because I couldn't very clearly, I understood some of the requirements and the restrictions, but articulating clearly what unconstrained versus constrained versus role-based constrained, I think I've just about closed that gap on myself. So, let me see if I can snooze the ads here. There we go. King of the Hill. I'd do some of that. That'd be fun. Okay, so the S4U trick basically is just going to allow us that if we capture a TGT to a machine, we could use that to impersonate any user to that machine. So let's come over to, you know what we need to do? Actually, we need to go jump over to the web server. Let's do that. So let's come back over to workstation 2. I'm going to jump over to web. I'm going to do this actually with SMB01. And here's why. I'm going to get on it with SMB01. I'm going to poke holes in the firewall, and then we'll connect with our TCP. Yeah. Been a decade since you did MS deploys. Nice. I like to call it M dollar also fried. They're the original microtransactions. Now look at this. You see, this is something else, just a neat visual artifact in Cobalt Strike. These links, these green ones, are TCP. These kind of orangish ones, yellow ones, those are SMB beacons. So that's a quick visual way you can tell how they're linked differently. All right, so if we come over here, let's do something real quick. Let's do, let's execute over to, let's escalate to service. So we'll do elevate with a service executable to, let's see. Actually, yeah, we'll do TCP 31338. I think we'll be okay if we do this. Yeah, Fried, after we finish up RTO, because I've gone through this consistently on stream since February, right? So we've been going at it for quite a bit. We go way above and beyond like what's in the course and what's required. You are not required by any means to make an almost 1,300 line long aggressor script. This was just something I thought would be fun to do. So that's just a quick peek at like some of the off the kind of trail stuff that I like to go down when I'm looking at this. And it's been really personally like enriching because I kind of got my love of tinkering back by just doing it on stream. I had kind of lost that for a little while, But having the dedicated chunk of time every week has completely turned that around. One of the reasons why my wife sacrifices time in the evenings with me to go do this. She just demanded one night a week, and I was like, that is a very reasonable demand, my dear wife. Yeah, they weren't microtransactions. I knew I made that damn sound too cheap, Stealth. The problem is I gave so many of y'all time to bank points. That's why I knew I had to put a cooldown between them. Otherwise, you guys would just be spamming that shit for like 17 hours. Alright, let's do something here real fast. Let's run on rubeus monitor. And what we'll do is we're going to go trick DC. We're going to go use the print spooler trick to get it to authenticate over to the web server. We'll capture DC2's TGT for the domain command. Act the planet. You know what? I just put monorot instead of monitor. Way to go, Blaze. We'll do interval 10. We'll run that. Oh, crap. You know what I forgot? To kill that. I forgot. I needed to put the no wrap in here. So this is what happens in rubeus if you don't put no wrap. It gives you this weird block of text, which is super not helpful. No wrap should honestly be the default. This is one of the things we're also going to do in the home lab setup is we're going to set up a CI/CD to pull down tools and apply custom patches to them. Euler, jump, 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 jump. Wait, no, snooze. Hey, I caught the ad snooze. Nice. I looked over, it had 3 seconds left. It was like defusing a bomb. I try to get the ads lined up with like the top of the hour. It's not going to quite work. The snoozes are only lasting 5 minutes now. They used to last like 8 minutes. All right, cool. So this is going. So what we'll do now is we're going to come over here. We're going to do a... This is that long way, by the way. Another reason why I've been doing all those helper functions. I'm going to do an execute assembly of like one simple tool here, right? So it's going to be tools. Was it sharp system triggers? I think it's sharp spool trigger, bin, release, sharp spool trigger. So look at all this crap that has to get typed out just to run one command. It's even worse for rubeus. So by making the rubeus alias, or I could just type rubeus and then the command stuff that I want, saves a butt ton of time. And a butt ton is actually a unit of measurement. Fact check. All right, so if we run this, I think it's going to be the listener and then the target. I don't know, I'm just going to run it real fast. Target IP. Okay, so target's going to be web.dev.cyberbotic.io. And then, actually, no, I got that backwards. That's the listener. The target is actually going to be dctag2.dev.cyberbotic.io. There we go. So when we run this, what it does is it triggers this print spooler to try and connect over to the web server. And then now you see we've got our TGT. So phase 1 authentication allows us to get access to anything this domain controller account has access to, which is actually really nice because then we can impersonate, we can get LDAP and we can start dumping hashes through DC sync. Let me go grab this real fast. Copy that. And let me go ahead and kill this job here. And I'm going to drop this over in our notes, updating it for DC2. Go. Take this. Drop that in its place. Perfect. So now we have our handy dandy ticket. So now what we can do is, since we have that, we could use that S4U2, the S4U attack method to get access over to the domain controller. So for example, we come back over to workstation 2 here. I'm going to rev to self. A butt ton A lady with a wide load who looks really good as she shakes it down the road walking. Nice. Let's see. You could potentially solve part of that by appropriately amending your path or place the XE bins in a dir that's in path. Win has been able to do that for ages. I could, Friday, except this interface we're looking at here is in Java. And so it doesn't understand it doesn't have like a path hunt option to it. It's literally just loading up the direct path we send it. So yeah, I could have gone through and I've taken all these tools and dropped them into like a particular location. But that also, if we want to go modify the tools and keep the binary with the code base, it can be kind of tricky that way. So what we've done instead is here in our script, we just defined a global variable section. And so it has all those paths just pre-built into it. So let's say, for example, we did rubeus, right? We come down here to our command aliases. Let's see, where is it? Here it is, rubeus. So what we have it do is every character that we pass to it, it's going to be like a positional variable, and it all goes into an array that's this one right here. This @_. So what we do is we just check the size of it. The first argument is always this $1 argument, and that's the beacon's ID, so it knows how to route the information. So all we do is we just take everything that's not that first element, and then combine them together, and then we just pass that directly to here. So it saves us all the trouble of having to type out those long paths just by doing this one time. Plus, we have a slight added benefit. If I want to go change this, let's say I wanted to start using a different path, I could just go change this right here, and then boom, instantly we're using like an alternative version of rubeus. Snooze. Ah, shit, I missed the snooze on the ads by 1 second. But otherwise, yeah, Friday, if I was running this from like the terminal, totally would have taken that approach. Yep, I'm all about making my life easier with less typing. Close enough. It is close enough to the top of the hour. I try to get it like roughly lined up with the hour. Plus, it helps me remember like, hey, there's some things like, I try not to take too many breaks away from the screen, but there are a couple things I got to take care of around the house every once in a while. So it's kind of like my alarm clock. All right. So once we have that TGT, let's actually, yeah, we're going to hop back over here. We rev to self. Let's check our S4U. So we do Kerberos, S4U. So remember, we had two options here. We could impersonate a user. Yes, so this should... I should probably go make a note in here that the ticket is the TGT. Because this is a TGT ticket. It's funny, the boss music starts, it gets real dramatic right as the ads hit. I tell you, while these ads are running, I do need to go hit something real fast because I got a phone call that came in that's an unusual phone call, so I'll be right back, guys. right, y'all, I'm back. Okay. Sorry, so I actually had a phone call from one of my parents. And it's kind of unusual because they don't typically call for no reason. So I was like, let me go call them back. And sure enough, it was a butt dial. Hey, Oni, happy Father's Day, man. Dude, did you make it out to DC 214, Oni? Because I totally didn't make it. I got caught up in something. And so I decided, I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to be able to make it, so we'll just have our normal stream at that time. Okay, cool. And then I didn't feel bad because after we talked, and I thought we were both going, I was like, damn, he's going to get there and be like, oh, he stood me up. I know 57. Isn't that interesting? We're talking about what is the definition of a butt ton, and then my mother essentially butt dials me. So let's see here. Okay, cool. So we had this going on right here. It kind of is crazy. So let me check something real quick. Ah, no, don't dox me on Discord, you bastard. Hang on one second, y'all. I'm checking on something real fast here. Okay, I'm back. Back to this. Yeah, clip it. All it's gonna actually, thankfully, they added a thing in Discord called streamer mode, and when it detects OBS is running, it enables streamer mode, and it truncates all the usernames and stuff. Today was a dice day, but it might be sunburned. Oh no. Dude, yeah, I've been slowly going out and like getting more sun so I can try and avoid getting sunburned again. Because at one point, the camera was completely not... It was like oversaturated on the colors, and I got really badly sunburned. And I looked like I was a fucking glowing red lightsaber on stream. It was ridiculous. That's where the crab emote came from. That one right there. Because I looked like a damn crab. It was so red. Alright, so let's try this real quick, because we have DC2's ticket. So what we can do is we could say we want to impersonate Nina Lamb. A delegatable SPN. Let me think about this. Which I think it could technically delegate to anything on DC2. I burned way too easy. Yeah. My poor younger son, the APT, he's very fair-skinned also, not at all like his older brother. And so, yeah, after I took him outside for like an hour, and he was already looking like he was getting pink, and so like, okay, yeah, you gotta go back inside. Dental assistant told me I looked like I was 20. My brain went, secret ingredient is basement. That's the fountain of youth. The basement is the fountain of youth. Alright, well let's try this real quick. Let's give this a chance real fast here. So, impersonated user, we'll say Nina Lamb. Delegatable SPN. So let's say sifs/DC TAC2 dev cyberbotic.io. And then the ticket user, which is going to be DC2 $. Actually, we need to specify the alt SPN first. So let's say we want, what do we need for PS exec? Let me see. If we wanted to modify schedule tasks on it, we just need the host one. That would be some way. If we get a ticket that allows us to get the host service access to the machine, we could go create a schedule task on that machine that runs a beacon for us. It'd be kind of interesting. I spent like 20, 30 minutes in the sun at over 25 Celsius, and it felt like I've been in the oven for hours. Dude, especially like where y'all are from. I mean, we're used to that in Texas, right? I think, what is 25C? That's like 90 degrees, I think. 77, okay. Oh, dude. Oh, dude. I think we get closer to 30. Nope. 35? 36? 37? 38? Yeah. 38 Celsius is a pretty standard, like, peak of summer in Texas. It gets a little nuts. And so it was crazy right now is it's not even that hot. It's just the sun is very intense right now. It's just like being under it's like you're under the magnifying glass from the ants. All right, let me try something here. We'll just do this without this. We'll just do it here. So ticket user, and then we got to drop in the ticket. Let's see what happens here. So what do we get? We got a KDC error bad option. Okay, did we typo this? Let me see. So we're specifying Nina. Let me double check this real quick. So we do S4U, we specify Nina. Oh! I forgot. We need an extra option in here. There's a self option we need to append to this command. So let's go down to our S4U, and let's see how we might be able to abuse that. I think the easiest way is actually maybe just copy this line, and we'll add... trying to think of a way we can extend this particular one. We have two options here. We could either duplicate this and make an S4U and an S4U self, or we can try and make an addition onto this that we can add a self option. Texas heat's not too bad, but sometimes it gets a little too humid for me. Dude, the humidity does get kind of crazy. At least it's not Houston, though. Down in Houston, the humidity gets absolutely insane. Like 80, 90, 95% all the time, because they're so close to the Gulf Coast. All right, so how do I want to handle this? Because we need to be able to add another option here where we add the self parameter. I think, I would like to just be able to extend this function out, but I'm trying to think how to do it. So what we have it do is it checks the number of parameters that we passed into the function, and then from there it decides how to parse those parameters. And then it builds our command line options right here to pass to the program. So what we need to do is we need to append a self on here somehow. It was extra humorous because we were wearing three-piece suits in Houston. It's 120 degrees. That sounds like on brand for Houston, Euler, and an absolute suckfest. It's like, once you factor in like the heat index in Texas, it's like 5,000 degrees Fahrenheit. So we've got an issue here. The issue is how we're parsing the command line parameters, because what we're doing is we're parsing them according to the number of parameters in here. And this one is only one off from this one. So if we added another one here that adds like a self parameter, then these two match in length. That's the problem here. So either we'd have to come up with a better way there is one option we could do. Right here, for the S4U, we could insert a static option, like self versus... like whether or not it's a self option. Maybe self versus targeted? I'm trying to think. Dude, I can stand a dry heat Oni way better than I can stand humidity. And that's funny because I have a lot of family in Louisiana, and I lived in Louisiana for a couple years. And the humidity was just such a beat down. I just never went outside. My doctor was appalled at how low my vitamin D levels were. All right, I think the simplest way to probably not screw this up is we'll just make a secondary command called S4U self. Maybe, I'm not sure. Because what I'm thinking is we'll insert a parameter here that's like self or target. Because then what we've done is we'll increase the line count, basically, each of these by 1. So then it's a very minor change to be able to do this. And then if self is listed, what we could do is then just append that additional parameter. Oh yeah, dude, the mosquitoes are... I actually don't mind the big fat flying mosquitoes. I'm hairy enough they can't get through my hair shield, but man, the little rogue mosquitoes that are very stealthy, God, they eat me up. I think that might work. So we can tell it do target or self. And then all we have to do is just make a minor modification up here. Because what we can do is we can just then check, hey, does the first positional parameter, does it match self? If it does, then we append /self to it and we're good. Yeah, I think that will work pretty well just by appending that. So we need to make some modifications because now this length up here is off. This is going to become 6. This one's going to become 7. And then all of these need to increment by 1 because we push them all down the stack here. Wait, hold on. That needs to become 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. And this one's going to become 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There we go. And then what we can do is we can just add one additional little parameter here. Let me check something in the sleep documentation. Does it understand a plus equals operator? Let me see. String. All right, what we can do is just append this a little bit. I'm trying to think with this. Yeah, Oni, knowing where your wife's from, I bet she can take the humidity and like not even get phased by it. As said, the mosquitoes amongst, especially in the southern United States, kind of like not so much in New Mexico, but like from Texas to Florida, they're just rampant. And then kind of up even towards the middle part of the United States, they get kind of crazy. But the whole southern like Gulf Coast, mosquito alley. I think I kind of want to do something here because see how this is parameters is identical for both of these. I want to try and make a slight modification here. Actually, before I do that, let me check that sleep documentation again real quick. Yeah, it's fine. We're gonna keep this simple rather than trying to get slick. So what we can do is we can define this here. And what we'll do is we'll just do this. So what we'll do is we're going to define parameters is going to equal to parameters plus all this other stuff thrown back into it here. Because what this is going to do is going to let us tinker with this line here before we actually enter the forked execution paths. Perfect. So this is going to be dollar $parameters. There we go. And then what we can do is we can check to see, does positional argument 1 contain self? Let's see, how do we do that in sleep? Has a match. String has match pattern. Determine if the string contains a substring that matches the specified pattern. Okay. How do we do has match here? Oh, here we go. So has match is, I forget what these are called whenever it's like a binary operator. Okay, so has match and some regex. So what we could do is we could say $2 has match self in there. Let's go test that real quick. Let's see, so if, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna change this. We're just gonna call this self, okay, $2. And then what we'll say is dollar parameters equals dollar parameters. And then what we're going to do is we're going to append a space /self. There we go. So what this should do here is when we load it up, it's going to check the size of the array. It's going to prepare the parameters variable. And then it's going to check and see if the second parameter matches the word self. And then if it does, it's going to prepend this self parameter to it. Then it's going to go get all the various positional parameters. So this should work. Hold on to your butts. Need my script manager. So remember, since we made those changes, the script is stored in memory, so we have to tell it to manually reload that script. Let's come over here. Actually, I want to try running this again. We should get an error saying invalid parameters. Perfect. All right. So if I try the target version, we should get a failure of KDC error bad option. Okay, so now if we change target to self, it should hopefully work. Oh, we still got a bad option here. Okay, so let's see what command line it was executing. Right, so we did S4U. We did no wrap. We did a self. Impersonate user. Nina. Oh, you know what? This needs to change right here, actually. Okay, so let's go back out that change because I thought these were the similar argument structures, but it's not. It's different. So we're going to back out this self change, and we are going to make a. We're going to duplicate this. We're going to make an S4U self function. Actually, I'm going to leave that minor change there. Nope, actually I gotta back all that shit out because I need all those to reset there. In fact, just completely go back. There we go. We're back to flat. All right. I want to copy these two commands, and we're going to duplicate it. We're going to make an S4U and an S4U self parameter here, because the command line switches do change enough. I don't want to try and cram this all into one function. So we'll call this self. And same thing here, self and self. We'll dress this up in just a minute. This could be to self. Self. And then this is going to be changed to S4U self. There we go. Badass. I'm going to grab a copy here. Throw this over into Lay Notepad. And we'll just kind of parameterize this out. Okay, so when we do this, we don't specify a service, we just specify an alt service. Yep. Okay. We're going to have our ticket, and then we're going to have no wrap. So let's kind of rest this up a little bit. So we'll have wrap, we'll have self, and then these are our various parameters that we're going to need to throw into here. Okay, not too bad, actually. I actually do want to make that change we had earlier. I'm going to copy this. I'm going to bring this out. Then what we're going to do is we're going to change this. So this will be dollar parameters, and this is going to be dollar parameters. So all we're doing is we're just appending onto the dollar sign. Okay, cool. And then we had to actually make the same change here because I just realized I was dummy. So we'll drop this one and then bring this over. Because a lot of times, if we've got these repeated parameters, it's easier just to be able to change them in one spot. So like this, for example, we need no wrap. We also need the self argument passed in here. Loading rubeus into memory via the beacon and playing with tickets. Enough info or no? Are you trying to, like, is there enough covered in the course? Oh, to 8-bit, okay. Oh, 8-bit, okay. So what we're doing is we're messing with Kerberos tickets. Let me bring up the iPad because I have some diagrams that we've been... No, go away. That we've been doing. All right. So we did do some Kerberosting, but not a ton in here. What we started with was forging tickets for Kerberos, right? So quick recap on our Kerberosty. Close. Close. I do want to read that more, but not right now. Close. Okay, cool. That was just a virus. A virus notice that was out of date. Close. 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 Oh, we want that. Okay. Let me go grab this diagram. There. All right. Here we go. So we were looking at different ways to compromise these different phases here, right? So remember, first phase, prove who you are. Second phase, request access to a foreign service. Third phase is send that request that comes back, this TGS, to that service to get access to it. There's an optional fourth phase to validate the information in that ticket with the domain controller, but it's off by default. And I don't know how many people actually have it implemented because it's honestly something I've never checked for. But So here's some of the options we've got. If we get a silver ticket, we can make a forged TGS right here. So typically, like, we would have the machine hash. Let's say this server over here. This server over here. If we had that hash, what we could do is we could forge TGS tickets to that server from ourselves. The downside is pack validation would squash that. There's also the option of golden tickets, right? If we get the Kerb TGT account, I want to see what was popping up on the virus alerts. If we get the KRB TGT account from the domain, we can make forged TGTs directly from it. Because all this data that comes from the domain controller, so the user, when it authenticates to the domain controller, it does it by encrypting data with its own network hash, its NTLM hash, or AES-256 hash, whatever. The domain controller gets it and has a copy of everybody's keys. So if it can decrypt it, then it's like, okay, you have access to that account. Then whenever it replies back, this ticket here is actually encrypted with this guy's hash. Because what's going to happen is you're going to take this and basically relay it over to the target server right here. And when you do that, that server is going to be able to decrypt it with their hash. And they're going to know it was legit and it supposedly came from the domain controller. So if we can get this computer here, get his hash, then we can forge these TGSs over to it. But if we can also get the KRB account, we can actually make our own TGTs and then be able to go through the entire process to just hit it. So it's really interesting styles of attack in here. There's also another one. So golden tickets can kind of be detected by if there was a TGS request, right? Because we forged the TGT, but then we still go do the TGS request to the domain controller. Doing it that way makes it a little bit easier to detect because you have a TGS log that doesn't correlate to a TGT log. By default, domain controllers don't record that stuff, but you can turn on like enhanced logging or have some kind of EDR solution that is gathering that intel. And so what we did from there, that was talking about fully qualified domain names. Yeah. So then there's a couple of different types of delegation that exist in Windows environments. The first and easiest one is an unconstrained delegation. So what happens here is, let's say there was another server over here that the web server, or it's behind my giant dome, needed to talk to. Let's say it was sitting up here. When the user authenticates to the application server, the user can request and send a forwardable TGT over to the server. The server then caches it and then uses that to impersonate that user to that other server. Let's say it was a database, right? So that's one example here. But what we're messing with is, how do we take some of those different machine hashes, like the domain controller, the workstation, the application server? All those machines have their own, right there. I think Panda knocked the green screen out of the way. All those machines have their own domain accounts, so they have their own NTLM hashes, which means they can get their own Kerberos tickets. And by default, these machines aren't local admins to themselves. So what we can do is we can actually go through and use a process called the service for you and the service for you proxy to actually convert those into a usable system for the machine to be able to access it. Let's see, the coding that is this uses is very unique because it's interfacing for Cobalt Strike. Yeah, pretty much exactly what Euler said there. This is also a very weird language called Sleep. And this is literally the only time I've ever heard of this language. I've never seen this used in any other implementation. And I think Fortra, previously help desk systems, is afraid to change it because it's become legacy and ingrained now. Let's see. So all we've been doing, Oni, is just basically making helper functions so that the commands we have to type, like for example, this is one command we'd have to type here. I'm going to bring this over. Look at that sucker. That's a lot of command to type in. So instead, if I can take that and put it into just a couple of known positional variables, split them out, build the command line programmatically, and then execute the binary, oh, I'm going to do it. It saves a shit ton of typing. So that's all we're doing right here is we're just making adjustments to this. So what we need is we need the impersonated user. We need an alt service. So we need alt service SPN. And actually, this is going to go away. And actually, we might just have one invocation of this, come to think of it. Yeah. Look at that. Because all the arguments line up to each other. So we're going to actually take this line out. We'll put it. Actually, I can take this line out too, the alt service. So. Perfect, okay. Oh, so we just have one invocation here. 1, 2, 3, 4. So what we can do is we can take out this other else block here. I think to right here. And we just have to make sure 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this has to equal 5. Oh, which it does. Okay, cool. And then we're gonna mess with these a little bit. So we're gonna change this to the alt SPN. And then we're going to have the ticket user and the ticket. Perfect. Let me break this up a little bit. Then all we're doing is we're just taking these variables that we parse out of the arguments array, and we're just dropping them into how does the command have to get formatted for this binary. That's it. So we need to make a little bit of a change here. So the impersonate user stays the same, but we need to change that one to alt service. So rather than being MSD SSPN, that's going to be alt service there. And then I think user and ticket are the same. Yeah, user and ticket. Okay, so that's a very minor change. Makes it a little bit easier here. We have a little bit of error checking, right? So if we don't pass the correct number of parameters, it's going to toss up an error saying, and it's going to end execution. So it just keeps us from accidentally burning time by sending a binary up with invalid parameters. All right, let's go reload this and give it a shot. Oop, I got an error somewhere in lay code. Ah, that's what it is. We are missing a semicolon. There we go. Right. So we can try the same command again here. Except we're just going to change that to S4U self. Let's go try this. There we go. Awesome. Yeah, you'll know these errors suck. That's one of the things that makes it so annoying. All right, let me do. Let's look at our create net only process. There we go. Program, let's see, cmd.exe, domain dev.cyberrobotic.io, username in lam. And then our ticket. Awesome. So let's steal that token. 028. And then we should be able to do ls against dctac2.dev.cyberrobotic.io $. That's so weird. So we've run into this before, where like for some reason the first time we try this, it doesn't work. And then I'm going to run this again. We're going to get a different token. I'm going to pass it in, and we're going to see what happens. So steal token 4836. And let's try this again. Okay. So did I screw up something in the command. Let's re-request the ticket here. Let's double check our parameters here. Kerberos S. Yeah, so it's the impersonated user, the alternative service SPN, which should be CIFS, unless I screwed that up. No, okay. Yeah, so impersonating user, the SPN, so CIFS, the ticket user, which should be DC2. Oh, let me make sure I actually got the correct ticket. I just realized I'm a dummy, and I probably grabbed the wrong ticket. Let's grab this ticket here. Hey, there we go. So let's try this again. So then what we're gonna do is, let me rev to self real quick. There we go. And then we'll do Kerberos create net only, we'll do command.exe, dev, and lamb. So that's just the domain, the user, and then the ticket. Okay, so let's try this again. So if we steal token 3052, what was our LS command? Yeah. DC2, dev, cyberbotic IO, CDOM. Now that 1326 one typically means like, hey, we requested the wrong. So let's go look at our output here. Let's see. So we requested to impersonate Nina Lamb. Actually, let's look at the rubeus option here. S4U, no wrap, self, impersonating Nina Lamb. Oh, look at this. So we have a flaw in our function. That's what it was. So this is actually really nice because when we run that beacon command, we can see, hey, this is what we did with it. So probably forgot to rename a variable in here. Yep, that's it. See this alt SPN? Should be right here. We had it still as delegatable SPN. That will definitely screw it up. So let's reload. Dude, yeah, the errors in this code, by the way, since you were joking about it, they're so trash. They're so bad. Alright, that's the create net only. And for some reason we got this giant space in here. Let's run this again. It should actually give us a proper alt service. I'm surprised rubeus actually doesn't do any error checking against. There we go. Now the service is actually listed. Gotcha. Alright. So let's grab this. Then what we'll do is we're going to do another create net only. Take out this ticket, we'll drop in the correct ticket, and then we'll steal that one. I don't know if I need to, but I always like to rev to self to revert my ticket token, my process token, and then steal the next one. I don't know if that's extraneous though. So steal 320, 3020. There we go. Now we can get access to the disk on this machine, which is awesome too, because if we just take a minor modification, right? Let's see, steal token. That's our create net only. Here we go. So what if I just change this to, instead of CIFS, I do LDAP, right? This is going to give me a different ticket. I can pass that ticket with a create net only. So now if I drop this one in here, And then if I steal this, then I can actually do a DC sync. There we go. And so now, if I do... Let me think. Yeah, so we'll do DC sync. I think it's the domain, dev cyberbotic.io. And the user we want, which would be like, always want the Curve TGT account. If we can get that one, it's fairly game over. Boom. Awesome. Awesome to the max. First time I heard it was the O-Day that was found in it. We'll say what hold on, this. Oh, you heard about the Cobalt Strike O-Day. Yeah. Oh, I'm sure there's a lot of let's call them high-profile nation-state teams that have backdoors into these through various exploit means. It would not shock me in the slightest. All right, cool. All right, now the S4U attacks make sense. Got it. And one of the reasons I wanted to go revisit this is because a friend of mine had asked me some questions about it. I was like, you know what? I can't articulate this as well as I'd like to. So I wanted to go back over it. Let's check something else real quick here. Let's come over to Beef Farmer. Let me tell this one to exit. That's our DNS backdoor, but it's on Workstation 2. I don't need it. Just remove you. So I think we had Kerberos. What did we call this? Yeah, resource-based constraint delegation. Find targets. So this is one other task here where... Oh, we need to import... There we go. Now we can run this. So like I said, these are just wrappers around tools. So we hadn't imported PowerView yet, and it was trying to run a PowerView command, and it errored out. So we'll let this sucker run. Okay, cool. So we've got... Let's take a look at what we've got here. So this is DC2. DC2. There's Workstation 2. Interesting. So Workstation 2. Let's see. So this is the SID for Workstation 2, the security identifier. And then it's allowed to access 1107. So this is read-write properties, read-write properties. Hang on 1 second. Double checking something else. So this is now we're doing something called resource-based constraint delegation, where it's only particular systems and particular services can be delegated against. So this one's a very tricky one. It's not super tricky. It just has a lot more prerequisites to it, to working with it. All right, so the major prerequisites we need is a target computer, which can modify the allowed to act on behalf of other property, and control of another principal that has an SPN. That's what we need. Yeah. Down. So Windows 2012 introduced a new type of delegation called resource-based constraint delegation, which allows the delegation configuration to be set on the target rather than the source. Got it. Okay. So if that's the case, that means this target, these workstation 1 and 2 are not that interesting, but this one up here, DC2, is very interesting. So for example, let's go look at this. Let's see what this security identifier is here. Let's look at something here real quick. Let's do power pick convert from SID. This is going to run a power view module. And all we can do is, all we have to do there is just drop in the security identifier, and it's going to tell us what that maps over to. This is developers. And if we do 1116, what is this one? That should be like DC2, I believe. Oh, that's from that's workstation 1. Okay. Euler, you learn a ton by writing to tools, and actually, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do this script, is because having to think through it and break it down to be able to execute it programmatically and reliably helped me understand a lot of this stuff better, and to see what it was really doing. It helps you get really detail oriented when you're writing the tools like that. All right, so I'm still trying to process what this output is telling me. Let me check something here real fast. Okay, so this says, so the command we ran was, we got domain computers, then we looked at the object ACLs, resolved the GUIDs, and we checked Active Directory rights matches, right generic all, right DACL, and security identifier matches this particular security identifier. Which I believe that's just the domain SID. I just realized. So if I do that, it should just come back as dev. Yeah. So that's something we'll need to be aware of here when we run this command. This one particular command is specialized to the domain. So this is not a generic function that we could go run against these other systems. Oh, hang on, Oni. Permit. There you go, Oni. I need to get the hey listen up on here. Although if I can find something from Gunnery Sergeant Hartman from Full Metal Jacket that basically says listen up here, I'll probably put that in place of the hey listen. Hey Marky, happy Father's Day, man. Alright, let's see here. Marky, have you been able to check on Salty? Is he still in one piece? Alright, let's see here. So this query will obtain every domain computer and read their access control list, filtering on interesting writes. This will produce a handful of results, but the one shown is the one of interest. It shows that the developers group has write property rights on all properties for DC2. So, okay, so we have write property here. Object SID is whatever this is, so let's do convert from SID on that. Let me make a copy of this real quick. Let's go put this over in our notes real fast here. In fact, we'll just drop it over in Notepad. I want to be able to take a look at this here in just a second. So if I check, what is this SID here? 1000. Is that DC2? Oh, so that is DC2. Okay. So that's the object SID, which is basically the SID for this guy right here. Security identifier 1107. So if we check out 1107, that's the developers group. Okay. Let's see. So this is saying the developers group has write property over DC2, which is very interesting. Salty, what's up, man? I am very glad you're still amongst the living. In the words of Patton, no poor dumb son of a bitch ever won a war by dying for his country. He won it by making the other poor dumb son of a bitch die for his. Okay, cool. So now how do I abuse this? Okay, so a common means of obtaining a principal with an SPN is to use a computer account. All right? How to do that? I have no idea how to say your name. Particular dead to do? What's up? Thanks for hopping in. Let's see here. So what we need to make this role-based constraint delegation is we need a target computer which has the modify allowed to act on behalf of others property to it. So that's a flag set in Active Directory, if I remember correctly. And then we need another which I think this is this guy right here, the domain controller. That's what we were checking for. Because if we look back up at our query we just ran, Active Directory rights matches write generic read. You know, I want to do something real quick. Let me do get domain computer against the domain controller. DC2. I'll check this account out. Particle. I'm gonna go with particle. Because particles are awesome. They make up everything. Paving a driveway since 6 this morning. Damn, dude. Bro here gets hit by a forklift and just kind of walks it off. Like, yeah, I got hit by a forklift the other day. Now I'm just thinking, I'm gonna go pave a driveway. So, Particle, this is actually the Red Team Ops Lab from 0 Point Security. So there's a link to it if you want to check it out. It is a fantastic course if you like doing internal command and control based activities and learning those things. it's not really a beginner course. It's a little bit more like an intermediate course because you do need to have a pretty good understanding of networking, Windows systems and their administration, Active Directory, some Windows services, and how it actually operates. Now, the kicker here is, I'm gonna grab that link myself. He actually, the guy who wrote the courses realized that, hey, yeah, there's some prerequisite knowledge that could be missing, and this could be misconstrued as a beginner course. So if you come over here to courses, there's actually a bunch of primer courses in here. Things on like Windows Access Tokens, Active Directory, Kerberos. These two are pretty well fundamentals for doing the Red Team Ops course, because you really need to have a good understanding, not really a great, but a decent understanding of Active Directory, and with Kerberos, because a lot of the abuse methods we're going to be using involve Kerberos. Crayon eating mother trucker. Salty is a boss. Fucking love Salty. So yeah, this is a really great course. I enjoy the crap out of it. I really want to take this beacon object file one, but I might save that. I'm probably going to save that for later. This access tokens one would have been really nice. You got some knowledge. If you are like familiar with it, so I've been a penetration tester for 6 years, and I've been in IT for 14 years. And one of those roles that I was in for 3 years was finding all sorts of weird ways to get around broke-ass systems in Active Directory, because the Active Directory was like 17 different companies that had been slammed together with duct tape, chewing gum, and baling wire, and nothing worked properly. So I had to find all sorts of weird ways to get around stuff. And so it actually helped my Active Directory knowledge quite a bit. Hang on one sec. Back there it is. I don't want to blow my nose on stream. I thought that would be a bit weird. So what we're doing right now, Particle, is we're going through something called role-based constraint delegation. So there's like 3 main types of delegating access to something, from something to something else in Active Directory. There's unconstrained, which just lets you get full access on behalf of another system or another user. Then there's constrained delegation, which limits like what you can access from that system. And then there's also role-based constraint delegation, where only certain like computers and users have permission to be delegated to other certain properties. So. Dude, actually, this is what my first exposure to Cobalt Strike Particle, because I never used it in penetration testing. I didn't have a great need for it. So one of my personal challenges that I had to work through with this was shifting how I thought about my attack paths. I was used to just working from like my laptop or from another remote access system on the environment. So now I've completely shifted how I want to do things. And in fact, I had to go on an internal pen test, and I was helping another buddy with his internal pen test at the same time. And I was like, he's like, hey, cool, I've got this thing. I was like, awesome, we can just load this in the beacon. And I'm like, ah, shit, I don't have a beacon. So I felt really dumb. And I was like, boss man, can we get Cobalt Strike? And now, actually, you can do some of these beacon object file things and all this other stuff with something like Metasploit. But honestly, Meterpreter has been fingerprinted to oblivion and back. So it's really easy to detect. Hey, cool. The ads are about to line up at the top of the hour, so I can let that run here for a second. They're going to come up in about 1:30. Let's see here. All right, so what we've got is we can see DC2. We've got an elevated. We have an elevated access on Workstation 2 here. I think that's because this is a red team tool, not really a pen tester's tool. Yeah, exactly. I've been learning a little bit about the difference between the two, and the meaning's kind of blurred. It kind of is. They overlap quite a bit. The primary difference is when you're doing a penetration test, it's typically, not saying these are exact, that's why I said they overlap quite a bit, but usually a penetration test is not super objective oriented, and you're doing what I like to call a smash and grab. You're going in, you're finding as many vulnerabilities and attack chains as possible, and you're kind of rewarded on quantity a little bit over quality. And obviously, you don't want to just go like report a shit ton of low findings that Nessus spits out typically, because the client probably has that. But for Red Team, it's almost exclusively objective oriented. You've got some critical system that you need to compromise, and it might require multiple prerequisites to compromise that system. Oh, all the barbecue shirts just shipped? Nice. Awesome, Salty. I can't wait to see them. Pen test is testing the technology. Red Team is testing the policy response. SOC. Yeah, you can kind of think of it like that, Euler. You're definitely testing more of the response and the detections whenever you're doing red teaming. You are also to some extent on the pen test side, but like I said, they overlap quite a bit. The big difference is usually how things are accomplished. You're not going to be doing a ton of like port scanning and stuff over a C2 channel. It's not going to be very efficient. You can do selected scanning and like very surgical scanning. Hello. This is Panda. This is my hacking sidekick. Oh no, don't lick me. No. So she hangs out under my desk and just glomps on my ankles whenever she feels unaffectionate. Hello, Panda. Quit kicking my keyboard. You're gonna type in weird stuff and then strange hacks are gonna happen. My boss had us scanning a /22 over an agent, was wondering why I was taking so long. Bro. For those who don't know, a /22 is going to be like 1,000 IP addresses. So, and you gotta think, that can take a while. All right, let me look at something here. Let's make some notes on this. Let's do role-based, constrained, delegation, steps. That's rough. Scanning all ports takes a long time anyway, let alone try to do it over a C2 channel. Sorry, I need to go grab something real quick. Be right back, guys. All right, I'm back. Okay, the ads are done. Perfect timing. Okay. Let me check something. So I'm trying to understand the steps for role-based constraint delegation. Let's check hack tricks. I want to see how they explain it. So this is similar to the basic constraint delegation, but instead of giving permission to an object to impersonate any user against a service, resource-based constraint delegation sets in the object who is able to impersonate any user against it. Okay. So the object specifies who's able to impersonate any user on that system. Gotcha. As a professional pen tester, I like to use Nmap as a knife, not as a wrecking ball. Word. Dude, actually, the second time I took the OSCP, I used my Nmap like a freaking sniper rifle. Just very tiny targeted scans. And I blew the second attempt out of the water. Rather than trying to like do the kitchen sink scans and doing the wrecking ball style, it gave back too much data. I got analysis paralysis. And then I started doing something I call the death spiral. Here's what the death spiral is. We'll come back to this, but there's something called the OODA loop. OODA. And that stands for observe, orient, decide, and then act. Right here. And these form a loop. And this really smart Air Force colonel, I think he was, basically coined this kind of mental object here and said, the army that completes the OODA loop the fastest wins the war. So you might think observe in, let's say like a pen tester case, let's say I observe that my local network is 192.168.5 or 3.0/24. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to orient on finding local systems. Finding live hosts. Then once I do is I'm going to decide how I want to find those live hosts. So I'm going to find them by doing an Nmap scan. And then the action is, how am I going to do that? So performing the scan and then observing those results and basically just going in this circle here. Now, something happens if you start getting a lot of scan data or you're certain like an attack path is going to work. What'll happen is you'll stop making observations. Would you stop autocorrecting my fucking lines? Piece of crap. Yeah. Oh, you're a piece of shit. There we go. So when you stop observing things, you start shortcutting the OODA loop. And then this becomes what I call the death spiral. Because now you're just floundering, right? You're not observing what's going on and adjusting appropriately. You're just trying different iterations of it without actually observing the changes to it. And this happens after a while, like you get brain tired and stuff. So recognizing the death spiral is very important. Oh, my throat's getting dry. All right, let me erase all this crap. All right, so what do we need for resource-based constraint delegation? Okay, constrained object must have MSDS allowed to act on behalf of others. I did. Okay. Actually, let's make a note here first. The object specifies who is able to impersonate any user against it. Okay, so this is a very important piece of information to have here. So it's set in the object. It specifies who can have this access. The constraint object will have the attribute. Okay, so this is set in the MSDS let's see, allowed to act on behalf. Don't give a shit. Oh, pen fell down and hit the button. And the other forms of delegation, you need domain admin groups. Okay. Oh, okay. Here's something that's really another important difference from the constrained delegation to the other delegation is that any user with write permissions over a machine account can set the MSDS allowed to act on behalf on the others. Okay, so if we control a machine account, we can set the impersonation rules. Got it. All right, so back in constrained delegation, was told that trusted to author delegation flag inside the user account control value was needed to perform a S4U2 self. That's not completely true. The reality is that even without that value, you can perform that attack. If the TGS used in the S4U2 proxy is not forwardable, trying to use a basic constrained delegation won't work. But if you're trying to exploit a resource-based constrained delegation, it will work. This is not a vulnerability, it's a feature. So, attack structure, if you have write equivalent privileges over a computer account, you can obtain privileged access in that machine. Okay. Okay, so this is saying if you have write equivalent privileges on a computer account, you can obtain privileged access on that machine. So let's look at our output we had here. So our output, let's just run that again real quick. So we're going to find our role-based constrained delegation tokens. Actually, I want to kind of fix this function because, like I said, this function is specialized to this domain. So what I want to kind of do is figure out how to get I think we can do power pick get object. Let me take a look. Let's go look on Power View documentation. Get object. Get domain object. There we go. Okay, so if we did the get domain object against the domain, that should probably work right there. So we'll do get domain object and we'll say dev. Dev.cyber. Maybe we need to give it the FTDN. Okay, so then do we get the security identifier? We do get the SID. That was not what I wanted, though. I do want to get an object. I think it dumped literally every object in the domain. I don't want every damn object. Just the domain itself. Oh, yes, that literally said return all objects in the lab. So I don't want that. I want just the domain object. Identity, so SAM account name, domain. Let's see, Actrix get domain SID. There's getNet user, getNet groups, get domain share. Trying to figure out a function that will get this for us directly. I mean, one of the things we could do is I'm trying to avoid doing a string split on this. I'd like to just get the actual SID itself. I'm sure if we went black hat on here, Twitch would have a problem. Oh, yeah. I mean, it's in the terms of service. You can't stream anything illegal, right? So, like, you sometimes see people smoking weed on stream. They'll actually send you forms to, like, validate that you live in a locale where it's legal to make sure that you're not doing anything illegal on stream. Because it might be legal where you live, right? Got Apollo spitting fire in stream in the chat. Yeah, it's kind of funny, Apollo, how many clients, like in the beginning, they want to treat a penetration test as like an adversarial endeavor, like a defender versus a prosecutor, and that's really not it. It's really more of a sparring match with a buddy at the gym. They have like a dollar SID in here. Can we set that? Oh, here we go. Convert name to SID. That's the function I want right there. Domain users. I don't want domain users, actually. What I want is just dev.cyberbotic.io. Let's go try that. Power pick. Dev.cyberbotic.io. I doubt this is going to work, actually. It's probably going to fail out because that's not a name of an object. So we have get domain object here. I mean, one of the things we could do is if we need to get the domain, we can actually, there's a couple of different things we can do. Like we can run a, we could do a who am I groups. That will show it, I believe. Right, see, look, here's the security identifier for those groups. Except I don't necessarily want to do it that way. I'd like to query it. So let's do, let me think about this. Actually, we could do that, come to think of it, if we just use this command right here, right? Because every domain has a domain users SID in here, right? Okay, we could do a tiny bit of regex magic and extract this string right here. There we go. That actually makes it super easy too, because it's literally just bam, there's the SID. All right, I want to go fix this function here. Role-based constraint delegation. Here we go. Find targets for role-based constraint delegation. Pretty sure building a botnet's not in the good guy thing cat. Typically, no. The level of social engineering some people reach to compromise a system for an audit is a legally gray area. Impersonation, falsified identification, social engineering, etc. Sometimes they actually get physical access to restricted areas in a building by doing this way. Oh, dude, I had one. I had one team that they really liked the physical pen test I did for them. I had full run of the building. I mean, I'm talking from the basement to the roof. And so I went through and I detailed them, hey, here's exactly how I did this. I gave them a timeline. I was walking around like I was an inspector with a damn clipboard. If you got a clipboard, nobody's going to bother you. And I'm making notes like, hey, at this time I was here. This time I was here. Here's some pictures of stuff that I found. They had a weather cam on the roof for the employees. I got up to it. I got into the. I was on the feed for it, and then I took a selfie with myself. But the selfie was a screenshot of me on their website in the weather cam. It's the best selfie I ever took. So they were super happy with the results of that physical. In fact, the only time I got caught was the very last thing I did was I went into the server room, and I was able to bypass the physical controls, get into the server room. And when I did that, they have a motion activated camera that as soon as it detects motion, it blasts out a picture to like these key IT staff. Yeah, it was funny because I went in looking like I was an inspector for the building, and so like I had jeans and a polo and a clipboard. I even went and like made a cup of coffee and like was walking around with the coffee cup and the clipboard. Who the hell is gonna break into a building and then have a clipboard and a coffee cup and a tool belt, right? So I looked like I was an inspector because I'm coming through and I'm doing this stuff. I asked employees for help. I'm like, hey man, this floor, there's only like 3 employees, so the lights automatically shut off. I can't find the light switch. Do you know where the light switch is so I can check some stuff? Oh yeah, this dude came over and for 3 minutes helped me search for the damn light switch. I was able to plant the land turtle with the VPN. Nice. I need to get some more of those. I'll tell you another funny story. So I got into another client's office, and this was a bit heavier on the red team side because rather than just trying to see what we could get to on the physical side, they had really good controls in place, and their physical security officer was like on point. The dude was really sharp. So we started talking like, okay, what's the realistic, like, who's going to try and come in here? Nobody's just going to try and come in and go steal a $2,000 laptop, right? This was a fairly large company. I was like, here's what they're going to do. They're going to target this guy so they can try to get access to this system, right? This is going to be like a targeted thing, because if they get access to his system, it could be a big monetary loss for the company, gain for the attacker, right? So I went in there and I had this implant I had built in like a little nook, right? And I go in there, I get it wired up, I set it. Well, the cables were kind of funky, so I went through and I actually raised his standing desk all the way to the top, and then I put it back where I thought it was. But I should have made a note of how high the desk was, because the instant this dude went into his office, he noticed that the desk height had changed and immediately alerted security. I was like, bro, could you stop being so damn observant? my fatal flaw was I assumed that he had set number 1 or number 4 as like his standing and sitting position. And that totally wasn't the case. That's what I do. And so, okay, so lesson learned there. Take note of how high the damn desk is. Take this out. All right, so here in our role-based constrained delegation, we've got an issue, right? Because this is the part we need to fix, because this is specific to this domain. So let's do something here real quick. What we're probably going to need to do is we're going to need to run a power pick with this command. Convert name to SID domain users. Yeah, we're just going to get the domain users security identifier. So we're going to need to run this. So let's do B power pick. God, I cannot type. So beacon's gonna be $1. Manlet is gonna be this. And then we're gonna change this. We don't need this script here. But one thing we do need is we need to go. We're gonna have to pass the output of this to a callback. So we're gonna need to make a callback function. Unfortunately. Power pick. All right. So to get to the callback, we need our options. This is the script, and then finally we want our optional back here. So what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to pass in 2 nulls and then a callback. So what we'll do here is we're going to do a null parameter, another null parameter, and then our callback function. We'll have to go craft. It's going to be underscore callback. And so let's go build that. So we're going to make a subroutine. Underscore callback. There we go. This is actually going to move up into callback here. And first thing we're going to do is we're going to blog the output from this. So positional variable 1 that holds the beacon's identifier. So we're sending the output, which is going to be $2 from this command. We're just going to log it straight to the terminal. I just want to get it back out. And then what we're going to do is we're going to make a quick regex. So we're going to make a local function here. And then we're going to put $regex. So we just want that to be local. So we'll do... Actually, we're going to do 2. We're going to do regex and sid. So we're going to do $regex is going to equal something here. We'll figure it out in just a second. And then $sid, that's going to be matches, I think it's data and then regex. So $2 and then $regex. And then it's going to return us an array. We want the 0 element of the array, the very first one, because it should only be 1 element. Let me look at something real quick. Domain users sid. Okay, so this is saying it's 513. Is that what we got back from our output? 513. Okay, so this is a well-known SID because it's a default one whenever the domain is stood up. Oh, hey, Matt Depp. Sorry, I just saw your message here. So we're going through a course called the RTO. So it's going to be pound RTO. Bam. So that's the course we're kind of running through real quick. And we've actually been through the course. This is our 3rd iteration through it. And I'm just doing a lot of fun here in the lab. And what we're doing now is we're making a helper script to go through and make some of the attack patterns that we want to do a bit quicker and easier to run. Because some of the commands can get pretty long and arduous. So we're simplifying them down. Rather than them being this very long, complex string, we pass in a couple of key parameters. We have our little helper script here, parse those out, put them into the correct format, and then run the command for us. So what we're going to do here is we're going to do a little bit of regex. So we're going to have a capture group, and we have attack 512 here. That should work just fine. 513, there we go. This should be pretty easy because the output is fairly concise. We can just tell it capture everything up to the TAC 513. That will be the domain security identifier right there. So 513, and we'll do star. Oh, that should be good right there. So now we've got the SID, so we need to modify this real quick. I actually want to take this out. What we're going to do is we're going to call this our command to run. And this is also in a, if you don't recognize the language here, Matt, it is a very esoteric language. Like, I've never heard anybody use this language before. It's called sleep. It's annoying. We're actually not using the SID for the domain users group. I'm just using it to capture the actual domain SID, because every domain has the domain users group, right? It's in there by default. So it's a well-known SID. So if we just look up the domain users group, and then we're going to capture everything prior to the TAC 513 that makes it specifically domain users. So actually what we're going to capture is this value right here. Oh. Yeah, exactly. So we're just going to, so we set up the capture group to capture everything prior to 513. And we're just going to use the convert name to SID function inside of Power View to make this work. Yeah, no problem, man. Dude, we've been having a lot of fun with this. If anybody wants to look at the script out of curiosity, I know most people don't have access to Cobalt Strike. This is the only reason I have access to it because of this lab. That's one of the reasons why I like it so much. It's a solid 9 out of 10. Highly recommend it. But if anybody wants to see the script, I update it every night after the stream. And so you feel free to hop in there and take a look at it. How much time do we have left, actually? We have 1.2 hours left. Okay, we're running short on time. Yeah, Euler, I update this after every stream. I'll go grab this and I'll go plop it in there. In fact, I need to set a timer here. I'm going to set a 1 hour timer because if I forget, we're going to lose access to the lab and I'm going to forget to export these changes. Because at the 1 hour mark, I'm going to shut down the lab so I have basically 0.2 hours left, maybe a tenth of an hour. And then that way it won't. I don't know what's going to happen when this time gets exhausted. If you restart the beginning, if you run out. Well, the cool thing is we can take this script, we can go load it back in. But one thing we'll have to do is we'll have to go redo all of our Defender static analysis evasions that we did inside of our payloads. So we'll have to go redo that for our executables, our DLLs, our service binaries, and then our PowerShell scripts. Oh no. Oh no. I deleted the command and I didn't successfully copy it out. Control X. That could have been bad. $command, it's going to equal this. And we're going to split this command up and make it a little bit easier to read. There we go. All right, and then all I'm doing here is just defining these as local parameters to make sure that it's not going to pick up random data from other functions that might have accidentally specified something as global. All right, so we've got our command here. I think what I want to do here is this. We're going to do a string concat this way. And then every time we have a pipe, we're going to end on the pipe. There we go. That's going to help this out quite a bit. SFTP share to prevent change loss. Dude, actually, so this lab is completely isolated, Euler. So unless I can base 64 encode something and copy and paste it in there, it's not coming out. Oh, you know what? I didn't close this. Close. That would have been a pain in the butt. All right. We're going to have this run. All right, so all this is a big, long enclosed string. So what we need to do here is we need to take this part right here. And then this part right here. So I'm going to append that. And then this is going to be replaced with $SID. That should hopefully give us the correct value here. All right, I think this is going to work. We're going to try it. Okay, Oni. Hey, thanks for hanging out, man. I understand, dude. I actually have to usually catch a nap in the afternoon because I don't get a lot of sleep at night. And so I'll go catch a nap to make up for it. Yeah, have a good night, man. Have a good Monday tomorrow. I got to figure out what I'm working on. I got stuff to work on, but I'm not on an active penetration test tomorrow. I was originally going to be traveling to go give a presentation, but that got canceled. So I got to figure out what I'm going to actually be working on tomorrow. Can't work on the lab. Let's see here. So I think this should work okay because what we've got here is... Actually, I'm going to take this out real quick. I'm going to do the same thing I just did. I'm going to do $command, and then I'm going to go define a command argument here. Just because it's going to make the code a little bit more stable doing it that way. There we go. Awesome. So what's going to happen here is we define the command. It's going to run that command in PowerPick, which is unmanaged PowerShell. Has all of our MZ evasions built into it. And it's going to take this output. It's going to pass it to our callback function. So here's our callback function right here. And when our callback function gets hit, it's going to log the output from the command directly, define our regex, parse out the domain SID, build our command to execute. So our command is going to be this big, long, ugly string. It's going to inject that SID that we extracted and put it right here. I think I actually want to put one more thing in here. I'm going to put a blog statement to $1, and we're going to say targeting SID. And then what we'll do is we'll string append $SID onto this. Just as a little bit extra checking. So let's go reload this, and let's go give that a shot real quick. All right, so we'll come back over to our nice low-privileged user, and we're going to run Kerberos, role-based constraint delegation, find targets. Hey, look at that. Nice. And it looks like it inserted perfectly in here, so we should get a whole slew of asterisks. Cool, because I'm trying to make these all these functions not specific to the lab. In one case, they are because I didn't have data on how to make it generalized. But in this case, now this should work for any domain that you get a beacon in that you can run this against. Heck yeah. It's so nice. Actually, I was talking to the guy who made Mythic, and there is a scripting engine in Mythic, so we'll probably go rebuild this whole damn script in Mythic. All right, cool. So now that we've got that, all right, I'm going to give this just a second here. We'll let the ads finish, and then we're going to hop in, and we're going to look at this attack method again. Oh, this role-based constraint delegation attack is very complex, and I wish I had not lost my notes for it. Evo, how's it going, man? Good morning. Let's see here. Let me pull up the iPad. Let's look at what our attack pattern is here. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to check for targets. Okay, so this output right here, this 1107, this very first one here. So this is showing, this is the developers group. This is the domain controller itself, DC2. And what this is saying is that members of the developers group have write permissions over DC2. Awesome. Evo, I get it, dude. I very rarely watch like a stream dedicated. It's usually kind of up in the background while I'm doing other stuff. Yeah, that's probably a good idea there, Euler. Let's go do that real fast. Because we've added some fun stuff into here. So I'll go update the GitHub real fast. Not like it just takes like 2 seconds anyway. Let's see. Added S4U to self helper and fixed RBCD find targets function. Oh. I'm at work right now pretending to be working while doing Port Swigger. Nice. That is work though. I mean, you know, you're learning something. You're doing professional development. I actually, because of the company I work for, we do contracting. And so I had to bill time against projects. So I had to do a timesheet every week. I put the stream time, except for the mentoring streams I do with Salty, I put those down as professional development time. So I say, hey guys, look, not only am I working my regular hours, but also I'm doing a ton of professional development on top of that. Oh yeah, always, if you can, I mean, it's not billable time, right? But if you have a time tracking system where you can put in professional development hours, do it, man. That way you have hard data to show them. It's like, hey, look, this is how much I'm actually working on stuff and like advancing on things. Okay, so we need to check for targets. The second thing we need to do, we need control or to set. Ooh, quick on the mute button. Let's see, we need to control or to set a principal with an SPM. We have a training thing we can put, but I feel like it's saying I'm not contributing to the company. No, man. I mean, especially like if you're doing work, you know, that's cool. Book your work. I have my timesheet is very detailed because I use I don't use our company's time tracker. I use a personal one that lets me get really fine grained. So like I tell them down to like I round to like 15 minutes. Like here's how much time I spent in client meetings. Here's how much time I spent in internal meetings. Here's like time that I had to do just random stuff to help the team run. I call it RAS, random administrative shit. That's literally what the bucket is. My boss is like his like first day is like, what's RAS? When I tell him, he's like, oh, that's funny. So I've got that bucket. I've got buckets for each penetration test that I do, and I track them by code instead of by client name because I don't want the client's info out there. So I track all that stuff in there, and I've got a PTO bucket, and I can put hours into that. So every morning when I go kick on my time tracker, I go basically carry over the PTO. I just duplicate that entry and say, yep, here we go. So I did, or not PTO, the professional development. Yeah, I did 3 hours, 3.5 hours, 5 hours, depending on how long the stream went. So I just throw all that in there. So it's not like I'm doing it. Sometimes it is, depending on the week. It's a big chunk of time, but a lot of times I'm still having like the bulk of my time being, you know, productivity work. But then also I've got a huge chunk because of the stream that's professional development time. Trying to check something real quick. Trying to see what he's doing here. So he's building an SDDL to create, able to act on behalf of another client. Let me think about this. Like this is the most complex of these Kerberos attacks because you actually need to make either have control over a system that has this or make modifications to the system. So let me think about this. I don't want to do this. Let me think. Okay, I see what we're doing. So we're going to build an SDDL. An SDDL is a security descriptor language. I forget what the second D stands for. But it is a big, ugly string that basically defines access rules. They're a pain in the butt. So we're going to build the SDDL for the allowed to act. And then we're going to set that SDDL. Yep. So he's got an example here in the what we can use, and we're going to programize a little bit. So in this case, we're going to use workstation 2 here. WK STN TAC 2. That's not a 2. There we go. So we'll set that up. So what we're going to do is we're going to create an SPN, a service principal name, on workstation 2. From workstation 2, then we're going to basically set a security scripter, because we're in the developers group, that workstation 2 has access to basically everything on domain controller. I think that's the attack path we're taking. We're going to use... We'll use set domain object to inject the SDDL. And then the last thing is they use the SPN principal machine to S4U access to the DC, to the target. Okay, I think this is making sense now. Yep, and it's not even the S4U to self, it's just we're doing S4U. Very cool. Okay, I think we can make this work. So one of the things we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to make a big, long, ugly command, suck less. So let's take a look at this over in Notepad. So we can get rid of, actually I'm gonna leave all that in. This is basically the data that we're working off of, right? So domain controller 2, which is SID 1000, we have write properties from this security identifier, which is the developers group. So what we're going to do is we're going to make it so that, because we're a developer, we can set properties on the machine. I believe that's what's happening. We're going to set up an SPN on a machine we've already compromised. And then we're going to use that machine's ticket. So in this case, workstation $2 to request a S4U delegation. Yes. Yep, that's it. Okay. So let's look at this big ass ugly PowerShell command. So this is what we're going to have to run. All right, so this all needs to be run as a single command, but what we can do is we can, when we're building it, we don't have to have this built. So I'm just splitting it by our semicolons here. And so this is going to be our, let's call this our target machine. So we're going to get domain computer. And then what we'll do here is we're going to pipe that over to set domain object. And this is going to reference this variable right here, which is basically get the raw bytes for the binary of the SDDL. Okay, so when we break it up like this, it's not so bad, right? Awesome. Let's see here. This right here, we're going to have to change though. This is going to be the domain SID. Domain. Actually, you know what? Even better than that. This actually doesn't need to be the domain SID. This needs to be... This could be our SPN... Our SPN machine, let's call it. There we go. So this, in this case, is going to be workstation 2. Let's kind of scaffold this out a bit. So in this case, it's going to equal WKSTN TAC2 SID.
Hack the planet!
Hack the planet! See you beautiful hackers tomorrow. Got to spend some time with better half. Dude, I understand that, Euler. Have a great time, man. Thanks for hanging out. We're going to keep at this for a little bit longer, but then when the lab time runs out, we're kind of at a... Let me refresh this. What's our lab time like? 51 minutes left. Okay. I got 39 minutes on the timer. So we're going to see if we can finish this in the next 39 minutes. So I'm going to make a couple things here. So this is going to be DC TAC2. So I'm just putting this in here as placeholders right now. I think that's all we need right there. All right, let's go see if we can build this out real fast here. Let's do another thing here. So we'll do alias. I think what I want to do here is we're going to call this one we'll call this inject what? Like inject access? Trojan Mango, what is up, dude? Good to see you again. All right, so this could be, yeah, we're going to call this inject access. Why not? It works. And then we'll register the command. And quick description on this. This is going to it uses Power View to inject an SDDL into target machine from a complex machine. There we go. We'll just call it that. It's probably more likely to make money studying high-frequency trading versus studying smart contract building, right? Like if you're thinking about transferable skills. Not necessarily, man. High-frequency trading is a very crazy market. Because I've looked at what some of those guys do. I mean, you're talking like down to they caught a guy that was front running markets because he was doing insider trading, if I remember right. And the time it took him to place the order versus when the news came out, he said, "Oh yeah, we just have really fast computers." It was fast. It was faster than the speed of light. So they knew the guy was full of shit. But what they'll do is they'll make very custom sets of hardware that sit right practically at the exchange, like analyzing this stuff to make these instant transactions. And so what they're doing is they're just gathering, pennies and nickels just multiple times. So that is a huge market. I don't even know how to begin busting into that, man. Dude.
I'm back, baby.
Dude, what is up, brother? Good to see your beautiful username. I was gonna say face, but like I don't see your face. All right, so what we're gonna need is the target machine, and then the I'm gonna call it local machine. I'm gonna say I'm gonna call it the SBN donor machine. Did I spell donor right? Donor? Donor. What? How do you spell this? Blood. Donor. It's a 2 O's. God. I promise I'm not that stupid, but apparently I am. I think those are the only two things that we need there. So let's set this up real quick. So size is going to equal the size of @ underscore. We're going to validate we have enough parameters. And we're going to do an if-else statement. So if $size is equal to 3, good, else, B error, invalid parameters. I think I have good understanding of everything, but I'm not too confident with my math. Maybe I know enough math. I'm still having to read the MLP book. Oh yeah, dude. The high frequency trading stuff it's ridiculous. It's crazy. A lot of them actually, I think, tend to hire people who are good with like astrophysics because they're used to dealing with very large data sets, and that's what you have to work with whenever I think you're doing some of that, or at least building the high frequency trading system. All right, let's see here. So let's parse out. Okay, so let's see. So first we're going to say target is going to be @ underscore parameter 1, and then call that our donor machine. Going to be $2, or just $2. All right, so then what we're going to do is we're going to build out. Oh, I forgot something. This needs to have a return statement. That way it doesn't keep executing after it hits that if else. Trojan, do you have access to that kind of data? Because last time I checked, it was very expensive to get like sub 1 second order book data, and plus the data set is ginormous. You gotta think, because there's lots of orders coming in and going out, and it could be completely different for like different stocks too. Kaggle has a few. I think I had looked into Kaggle back in the day. I don't quite recall if I have. Okay, so let's do our let's go build this guy out fast. Let's see. Where's our notepad? Here we go. There we go. And I believe we could just do it like this. We just need to prepend here. We'll do. There we go. So this is going to be, let me put a space in here, space in here. Then what we're going to do is we're going to close this. We're going to append the target machine. And close this. And then here in our set domain, I think that's actually all we need right there. Perfect. Boom. I think that will work. Let's go bring this over to our editor. We'll tab this over a little bit. There we go. I think I missed something. Actually, yes, I did miss something here. I need that. And this is going to be... I think I'm going to do it like that. Yeah. All right, cool. I think that will work right there. Not too expensive to have a scraper set up. I actually never tried to scrape my own data. I've looked at a couple of different data sets to basically get access to, but not really a ton. There we go. I think this will work. All right, let's hope this actually builds it out correctly. I tell you what we're going to do is we're just going to B-log this first. $1, and then we're going to say command equals, and we'll do $. Let's save this and go reload it. We're going to see if we can get this done before our lab time runs out. It did not like that. Oh, it didn't like it because of this right here. So you know what I can do is this. Yeah, let's change our wrapping here, and then we'll just escape these. I didn't like that again. What I didn't like about it. I haven't seen Hummingbot Trojan, so I'm not familiar with it. Let's see. Oh yeah, I've messed with difference like volume and price action analysis. I think it's actually we need that there. I think that's what it's flipping out about. Mismatched braces. HFT books. HFT books use many moving averages to show what's going on with different market microstructures. Yeah, moving averages are super handy whenever you're trying to like trade through stuff. Do this. Get why it's saying it's got mismatched brackets. RSDB. Probably need to backslash that. Backslash that. Let's try to see if that works. Okay, so that did it. Okay, awesome. Go try and run this function real quick. First thing let's do is check the help function. Okay, so it works. I'm going to run the function target machine DC2 donor. Oh, this needs to be the donor machine SID, actually, if I remember correctly. Let me double check. Yep, because 1109, if I remember right, is workstation 2. Yep. So I need to change that to be the that's the donor machine SID. That. Aaron Aldridge's book. Actually, one of the books I read that I thought was really good for, not for micro trading like what you're talking about, but just for like swing trading, was I think it's called Markets in Profile. Yeah, this is the one right here. Markets in Profile by Dalton. And this is talking about, like, when you're talking about doing volume analysis. This is exactly kind of what it does. It's doing time and volume analysis and looking at what's the market profile. And it's really cool. So instead of like graphing price or time versus price, it's looking at graphing. It's looking at a lot more. Usually, I like the volume profile personally, but it's looking at the volume versus price and seeing like where the bulk of the volume was spent. And it's a really interesting theory. I used to have all sorts of crazy stuff set up to be able to generate those profiles, so I could take a look at them and kind of analyze them a bit. All right, so we want to do. We're just gonna try running this. SID. Well, that's not helpful. Oh, you know why? Because I didn't. That might be why. So this is our donor machine here. We're gonna call this donor SID. Damn it. This is gonna, instead of being $target, it's gonna be this target here. The shift key is stuck. Dirty bastard. Reload. Let's try running this again. So it's not erroring out. Okay, so now we get invalid parameters. So the parameters are correct. It's just something else is causing it to crash in here for some reason. This crazy script. This should be working. I don't get why it's not logging anything. Our blog command's not taking anything. Dude, yeah, volume analysis is really big, and taking a look at the volume versus what price the volume happened at. That's very interesting. I like taking a look. When I was doing a lot more stock stuff, that's what I liked looking at. Now I just do a lot more like investing as opposed to trading. All right, so why is this string all kinds of jacked up? I'm hoping that this is not messing up the language. I can't tell. Let's do something here. Let's say, dollar target. Let's just log this stuff out real fast. This will at least tell us maybe like, yeah, we're getting into this real quick. Is it just silently crashing right here? Okay, so target's DC2, donor is Sid. Damn it. Oh, I'm missing a comma here. Son of a bitch. No wonder why. So it's trying to send us... It only recognized this function as having one variable in it. Smooth brain. Like a cube. Okay, cool. Okay, cool. So it's going to insert the SID there. Awesome. It looks like this is all correct. And you look at this new byte here. So, yep, that's correct. That's correct. Okay, cool. I think we've got it. Awesome. How much time do we have left? We have 30 minutes left. We're running up against the clock. So, take this out. We're going to do B, power pick. Beacon is going to be $1. And this is going to be dollar parameters. And we're just going to take out the script. Let's save this. All right, let's go see if this will actually work. Let me do something real quick. Let's do power pick. Get, I think it's domain computer. And we're going to say tag name. I think that's what I got to give it. WKST in tag 2. Alright, cool. So we have all these things here. So let's go try running our command here. Do I know how to run a validator on Sol? I have no clue, man. Does it require an intuition or understanding of computer science to be able to hack DeFi? Depends on what kind of hack you're doing. A lot of times they're logic bugs. right? People are injecting into the logic of a smart contract, and so it's causing the execution path to be diverted from what the creator of the contract intended. And so a lot of times, every time I've seen like smart contract hacks, it was usually done by a wrapper. Somebody created a wrapper around the smart contract, which you can do in not Ethereum. What's it called? Whatever the Ethereum coding language is. I'm drawing a blank on it, but basically creating a wrapper contract around that contract, and then as things hit it, it can manipulate it. Okay, so our target machine here should be our identity thing in here too. So identity DC2. Okay. So our target machine is going to be DC TAC 2. And then we're going to give it the workstation SID. I'm just going to copy that out of the notes, which should be 1109. There we go. And let's try running this. Let's see. Hopefully it ran. Did we run this through PowerPick? Yeah. Are there actually a lot of jobs for learning how to program Solidity? Solidity, that's the name of it. I don't know. I haven't looked in to see what because the market is popping off again, but it had cooled down for a couple years, and now it's starting to come back. So I don't know what kind of job market there is for Solidity developers. There probably still is. I'm just not aware of it. Let's see. Oh, shit. I just realized something. We're missing something right there. I just realized that. Because I think it was interpolating this. Let me go check the output from our script real fast. So all of these are set in single quotes except for this one. I'm going to change this one. Yeah, I think that's what happened there. All right, let me save this. Let's reload it. We have 12 minutes. We're hacking against the clock. Yes! It's working. All right, let me go save this. Copy. I'm gonna go edit the file over here real fast. Commit change. Added helper to RBCD to inject access to delegation. There we go. Sweet. So what we can do now is, if we go dump out the TGT, what did we have for this? I think our constrained delegation steal TGT work. I probably should go actually rename that to like machine TGT. Invalid fluid format. What? Oh, it did. Okay. Yeah, that failed because we're not elevated. I need to add a check to that function. Gosh, you're killing me. Killing me, Smalls. Where did we do that? Is admin? Here. So let's update this real fast here. Put that in. So if it's elevated, else we'll put in a fee error. Say must be run from elevated access. Come on, kill me. Copy. Let me see here. You think I'd be better studying smart contract auditing? Yeah, probably. And the reason is because there's not a ton of people going into that unless they're doing like bug hunting, at least as far as I know. And there's a lot of companies that they still want to have like the silver bullet of crypto blockchain stuff. And so they are developing things in-house, but there's nobody really to like go validate it, right? Okay, I think that's probably where we're gonna have to call it there. Because, yeah, it said we have 8 minutes left. Cool, so we've got a setup where we can inject access. We should then be able to like pull a TGT down and do the S4U, get access to the domain controller. So, awesome. Let me save this real quick. And then let's go shut down the lab. Because we have 20 minutes left. It takes like 10 minutes to boot up. So if I need to get back in here, I can for like 10 minutes. All right. Cool beans. Let's go see. Is anybody on InfoSec streams? Or if anybody knows something we could raid over to, tell them up. Oh, just us. We are the Night Owls. Let's go check Science and Tech and see if anybody's doing something fun. Let's see. Only thing that'd be funnier about this flat Earth thing is if they said, we have gathered panelists from around the globe. That'd have been hilarious.
User MattApp_ is online.
New agent online. Hey, Matt. Okay. Nothing really happening over in Science and Tech right now. This guy's 3D printing. That's cool, but kind of boring to watch. Rumbo coming in with the Cookie Monster. All right, let's check software and game dev, see who we've got around here. Let's see, Griffin is working on some open source right now. Dash is over there working on her MMO some more. Let's see. Ooh, what is this person working on in Rust? Let's go take a look. Yeah, Brumbo, it might be time for Retro TV. That was funny though. So I know I have the audio muted for the desktop, but they were talking about these kind of cheeky results from an exam, and because of something they did, an exam question got changed. That actually happened to me one time, and it happened middle of the semester. So, for the general breakdown for a lot of colleges is you'll have calculus split up into 3 groups. The first course is pretty much differentiation, and then you start doing integrals at the end. The second one is mostly all doing integration, and then the third course is multivariable calculus, which is really not that complex. You just have to be careful with your notation. You're just doing it in multiple dimensions, and it still works pretty much the same. Well, they made the mistake in the... there's some things you can get away with if this vector field you're working with has certain properties. And in the question, they said, oh, by the way, imagine this ball is like rolling down a spiral, and it's in a gravity field or something like that. And so I knew what they wanted, and they wanted you to like create a function to trace where the ball was going and figure all this stuff out. I just flat out said, gravity is a conservative field. Therefore, bam, it was no calculus whatsoever. It was just the change in height that was the thing on it. So the very next exam, the professor said, you may not assume this is a conservative field or something like that. He reworded his questions in the future because of that answer. A smart-ass hacker my entire life. It's like, hey, you said it was gravity, so we're gonna abuse gravity. If you want to bring physics into this, I was double majoring in math and physics. I dropped the physics portion because I could graduate a year sooner, and I had just gotten married, and I wanted to be able to get out of school, go, support my wife, because she had just started back to school for her master's. Run a business simulation. Yeah, I don't see anybody super interesting. That's a good combo, Brumbo, just because for a lot of times you're very close to having a math degree anyway from doing CS, and you at least usually get a math minor just from doing it. So I mean, it's only like 1 or 2 other, maybe 2 or 3 other courses to get the math major. At least it was at TCU. So. I don't really see anybody doing anything super fun. Actually, I wonder if anybody's playing Greyhack. Lots of folks playing Gray Zone Warfare. Wait, what is this? .hack infection. Oh, that's the user's name. Wait, it says they're live, though. This does not look like... That does not look like anything I expected. Pass. Digimon Story, the Cyber Sleuth. That's interesting. Greyhack. Anybody streaming Greyhack? No. Of course not. The TCU Hypnotoad? Oh, that would be badass to make. Yeah, it is. It's just not what I expected from it. And I have heard of .hack. I just didn't... I have never got into it, so I'm not super familiar with it. I'm curious. I'm gonna search for hacking. What do we have? Hey, wait, what is this guy working on? Research malware. Ah, freaking ads. What a horrible... I don't know if I like the name of that soda. Puppy! Interesting. Yeah, this guy's doing some kind of malware analysis. Let's go hit him up. Oh, he's in software and game dev, too. Perfect. Based over in Brazil. Okay. I'm curious, like, anybody else have? You're not hacking, you're not hacking, you're not hacking, you're not hacking. Yeah, let's go right over this guy. Wait, somebody's doing Rust malware development? Hey, and Trojan, this guy would be right up your alley. I'm not sure if he's doing Rust. He might be doing. This might be Solidity. I'm not familiar with Solidity syntax, but you know we're gonna give him a raid. He's the only one doing anything that I can tell that's remotely hacking related. There we go. All right, y'all. Y'all have a fantastic night. You guys are all beautiful people. Have a badass Monday. Don't get a case of the Mondays. Get a case of the I'm going to crush it Mondays. Get after it. You can do this. I have faith in you. So, everybody, take care. I love you. Peace.